It's that time of year again, that moment where the calendar flips over and, there's this huge pressure to become someone new.
This almost irrational pressure.
Exactly. But what if the hardest part isn't making all these huge resolutions, but just deciding what you're finally ready to leave behind?
Well, that's really at the heart of the text we've been immersed in for this deep dive. It's a philosophical piece called The Art of Packing Light, a New Year's philosophy.
And it makes this powerful argument that most of us start a new year already exhausted. We're weighed down by all these invisible burdens.
Right.
So our mission today is to cut right to the core of this. We want to pull out the framework it gives for, I guess, mental freedom, to show you how to actually shed that emotional baggage, the grudges, the past failures, so you're ready to succeed.
And the whole philosophy, which the authors call the traveler's rule, it all hinges on this one central, really powerful story. It might be the best New Year's metaphor we've come across in all our research.
Okay, let's set this up for you, because you really need to picture this journey. So there's a traveler, and he has covered some serious ground.
A long, hard year.
A long, hard year. We're talking walking through, the storms of spring, the intense heat of summer, and then these bitter, bone-chilling winter winds.
And this traveler, he's not carrying the usual stuff.
Sure.
Not food, not gear. On his back, he has this massive, heavy, creaking leather backpack.
And inside, this is the key part, inside he keeps a physical souvenir from every single negative experience he's had.
Everyone.
Think about that. So say he had a really nasty argument months ago, something that just wounded his pride. He'd pick up a heavy rock from a riverbed, label it anger, and just toss it in the pack.
Or if he failed at some huge project at work in the fall, he'd find a jagged, sharp stone, label that one regret, and throw it in right on top of the other one.
So every mistake, every little grudge, it all gets collected and cataloged. This thing isn't a backpack. It's a museum of misery he's carrying around.
And what's fascinating is his justification for it all. He's not just a collector.
No, he has this powerful belief.
Yeah.
He genuinely thinks, I must carry these so I don't forget where I came from. The weight itself becomes part of his identity.
He feels like he needs that physical reminder of the pain, to make sure he doesn't repeat the same mistakes. But that's where the journey hits its breaking point.
Right. So the traveler finally gets to the edge of this wide, rushing river. The text calls it the river that separates the old year from the new year.
And it's too deep to walk across. He has to swim.
So he takes a deep breath, he adjusts the straps on that huge, heavy pack, and he steps into the water.
And the second that water gets up to his chest, that weight becomes lethal.
He's kicking, he's struggling, but those stones, anger, regret, they're just anchors. The very history he insisted on carrying is now literally pulling him under.
He's not being defeated by the river's current. He's being defeated by his own history. He just barely scrambles back to the shore, gasping for air.
And he's faced with this incredibly stark choice. Stay on the old shore with this crushing burden, or cross to the new year. But he can only do it if he leaves the stones behind.
So he makes the call. He opens up the pack. He takes out that heavy rock named Grudge, throws it in the bushes.
Takes out that jagged stone named Failure and just buries it in the mud. He empties the whole thing until it's light.
And this part's crucial. He doesn't throw everything away. He keeps the true essentials, what the text calls the bread of experience and the water of hope.
And the result? Well, that's the whole lesson, isn't it? With the pack lightened, he steps back into that river, and this time he swims.
With ease.
With ease. The current that was his enemy before now actually helps him cross. He gets to the other side unburdened and ready.
Okay, I love that image.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this. Let's go from the metaphor of a heavy stone to the neuroscience of a heavy brain. Let's connect this story to the real psychology that holds us back.
So the source calls this anchor the weight of the past, which psychologically it says translates directly to what's known as cognitive load. But what does that term actually mean for how our brain works?
It's all about your working memory. Think of your working memory as your brain's mental scratch pad. It's the high-speed RAM you're using right now to solve problems, process what I'm saying, and plan your next thought.
Okay, so if I'm trying to focus on a new project for 2026 or just adapt to a new routine, that's going to require all of my available RAM.
All of it, exactly. But if that scratch pad is constantly running these background processes, endlessly cycling through, I can't believe they said that to me last summer, or why did I fail so badly on that project? Those old processes are eating up your resources.
That's fascinating. So that feeling of mental drag, of not being able to focus on new things, it's not you being lazy.
Not at all.
It's a resource allocation problem. The mental energy you need for the challenges of 2026 is being diverted to rehash the unresolved problems of 2025.
It is a functional anchor. And this burden is often reinforced by something else the text brings up, the sunk cost fallacy.
Right, the idea that the traveler felt he had to keep carrying the stones because he'd already invested so much effort in carrying them for so long.
Yes, that exact feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I've been angry about this for a whole year. I can't just let it go now. Or, I spent 10 years on that failed business. I have to keep thinking about what I lost.
Is this why people stick with things they absolutely hate, like a dead-end job or a toxic friendship, just because they've already put in so much time?
That's the classic example of the fallacy in action. The time you spent being angry, the money you spent on the failing project, that's gone. It's sunk. It should not dictate your future path. The source is very clear on this. Just because you carried the burden for a long time doesn't mean you have to keep carrying it. You're not throwing away the time. You're investing in your freedom from it.
You're recognizing that the return on investment for chronic regret is zero, and the cost of carrying it is your ability to swim.
Which brings us to a really important nuance here. Selective retention. The traveler's breakthrough wasn't amnesia. He didn't just forget everything.
No, he kept the bread of experience.
He kept the bread.
And that distinction is so crucial. The goal is not to forget your past or the lessons you learn. We need that bread of experience to handle future storms.
Right. You're just discarding the heavy emotional weight, the stones of regret, the trauma, while you hold on to the valuable wisdom that's embedded in that memory.
So you convert the trauma into a useful blueprint.
That's a perfect way to put it. You can look at a mistake and keep the lesson, okay, that taught me I need better management skills, without also carrying the paralyzing emotional anchor that's screaming, you are a total failure.
You keep the navigation chart, but you ditch the shipwreck debris.
That's the psychological conversion. That is what enables lightness.
Okay, so let's shift gears. Let's get practical. We understand the psychology now. How do we actually apply this traveler's rule in our own lives? How do we pack light for 2026? The text gives 3 very actionable steps.
The first one is a direct check-in they call Audit Your Backpack. And the instruction for you, the listener, is deceptively simple. Write down 3 things you're worried about, 3 regrets you're carrying from last year.
Just 3. Get them out of your head and onto paper so you can see them for what they are. Anchors. And once you have those 3 items, you apply the filter question.
And you have to be honest with yourself. Ask clearly, can I solve this now? As in, is there a concrete action I can take today that will change the outcome?
And if the answer is yes, if you can send that email, make that apology, take that first step, then it's a task. You keep it, put it on your to-do list.
But if the answer is no, if the conflict is over, the deadline is passed, the person is gone, what then?
Then the source says, very bluntly, it is a rock, throw it away. The energy you spend worrying about the unsolvable past is wasted cognitive load that you could be using on the solvable present.
And that leads to step 2, which for a lot of people is the hardest act in life, forgiveness. The text reframes this as forgiveness as a tool.
Yeah, we tend to think of forgiveness as this huge, noble gift we give to the person who hurt us.
And it feels like this massive emotional hurdle we have to clear. But this philosophy just removes the morality from it and treats it as a pure energy transfer.
How so?
Forgiveness is, fundamentally, the act of putting down the rock so you can swim. It is an intensely selfish, logical act of self-preservation.
So it's not about letting the other person off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook, absolving yourself of the weight.
Precisely. You are using forgiveness to save yourself. You're choosing to shed the emotional weight that is stopping you from reaching the new year, freeing up your own mental RAM for what's ahead.
That's a powerful reframe. Okay, and finally, step 3, the mantra. Because when we get overwhelmed, we need a simple tool.
A quick reset. And the traveler's rule boils down to 2 simple words. Travel light.
That's it.
That's it. Use that mantra anytime you feel that stress creeping in, anytime you start cycling through old regrets. It's a powerful neurological redirect. Just remind yourself that you only need 2 things to succeed in the year ahead: your skills and your hope.
You don't need your history of failures. You don't need the memory of last year's fights. And you definitely don't need that heavy pack full of stones. You are allowed to cross that river with ease.
And by consciously choosing to discard those stones, you're making a powerful statement. You are freeing up the mental capacity you're going to need for creativity, for resilience, for problem solving in 2026. The real value here is in the application.
That's the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The traveler kept the bread of experience. He chose to keep the lesson, not the trauma. He didn't forget the storm, but he chose not to carry the wreckage. So, here's a final thought for you to carry forward, something to explore on your own. If you consciously train yourself, starting right now, to only carry the lesson and immediately discard the emotional trauma after a setback, how does that fundamentally change the way you approach the next inevitable failure?
Because failure is going to happen. It's a guarantee. But if you've trained yourself to instantly take the wisdom and toss the anchor, you completely change the speed and the quality of your recovery.
A lighter pack means you can swim further and faster. We wish you a magnificent, light, and swift journey across that river to the new year. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.